If you find yourself with a camera in your hand and want to learn how to use it, please subscribe to this channel, like the videos, comment below. Hey Photos family! Today we are talking about the Atonement or Atonement of I call them superheroes, the hero's journey. The story of our hero as they've gone from the crossing over into the adventure, from the call to adventure and the supernatural aid that they received there, what we call crossing the threshold, or what is called crossing the threshold in the story cycle of hero's journey. But it progressed through all sorts of pieces and information and detail throughout their story, through challenges, temptations, into the abyss, the hero's death and rebirth, whether it be metaphysical or what's the word I'm looking for, metaphorical. It's really intriguing to see how the truth of the death and rebirth is, whether it's factual or not, really has an impact on a story. There's some actual true histories that happened. People that lived down among some unknown Indian or sheltered, not necessarily sheltered, they weren't being prevented from contacting the outside world. They just didn't reach out to the outside world. And some misunderstandings occurred in the communication with those peoples, and then the people that were living near them or among them in their own housing area, or say a developed area, so that they could fly in and out with light aircraft and living there in their homes that they'd made. The indigenous peoples didn't understand what they were showing them. The indigenous peoples didn't have the technology advancements of cameras and other things, and so they didn't understand what a photograph was. And so when they saw the likeness of somebody that they knew, this concept is put into videos. I don't remember all of them. I think one of them is Through Gates of Splendor. That might not be going back to the very beginning of those videos, but these are heroes' stories and the journey that they affected in going through college and learning to speak languages and communicate with peoples that had not had a lot of contact with the outside world. Then the effect of the miscommunication and the indigenous peoples fighting against them, it meant the death of what a lot of people might consider the hero of the story. The husbands of those families and two of the women of those families came back to the people and were able to have a breakthrough and bring some understanding. The photographed individual that the men had shown the indigenous people was brought back with the women that came back of the murdered husbands. And she was explaining, the indigenous woman whose photograph was taken, explaining to the tribe what happened, and that somebody was able to make a likeness of her on paper, and they were trying to show her that she was alive. She had been sick and taken out, and they didn't know what happened to her. They thought she had died. That's how unattached they were to the rest of the world, this indigenous people. They didn't understand that there was medical remedies. They didn't know of, and so she came back healthy and strong, and was talking with her tribesmen and the women of the tribe, and she began to explain to them what happened and what she saw while she was out of their village. And the women that came back with the murdered men, their husbands, after their husbands were murdered, let's say, they came back with this young lady and explaining to the tribes, and then the tribes began to realize what happened, that they had, in their not understanding and their selfishness, through the misunderstanding also, they took the lives of men they didn't want to kill in that regard, and it brought a repentance in that tribe, and opened up that tribe for a lot of new life for generations. So there was the death of the tribe in that regard. They repented from what they typically did every day, that they didn't have good reputations. They weren't neighbors that other tribes wanted to live near. And they didn't know why the missionaries wanted to live near them, or these men and their families. They didn't understand why they wanted to come and communicate with them at all. They didn't know why they wanted to bring them gifts. Nobody else was bringing them gifts. So it really meant the death of the heroes. And it also gave way for a rebirth through these two women who bravely went down and interacted with those individuals, bringing back that young lady who was sick and taken out, and brought her back to show them that she's strong and healthy now. So that Atonement is huge in the story of a hero's journey. It brings about a completion. It brings about a resolve. In these movies, if you want to look them up, they're available on streaming services, and they are available also for purchase on DVD and Blu-ray. But as an illustration of the actual death of a hero, that was a story I wanted to relate, that in our photography, that can be a very real item. The subject of our photograph in, say, a relation through drama in our photographs can relate the death of our character, but it's the rebirth through some other effort that other people are able to come and bring the information to fruition, or take the words down to bring the truth to light, and people to actually see what's going on and the reason behind what happened. That's the reason for my using this Old English pronunciation of atonement as atonement. It's bringing together every bit of information and the facts throughout the story of this hero's journey, and making the cycle and circle complete, that there's no loose ends unconnected. It's all tied together. It's neatly wrapped up, and as we say, has a bow on top. It brings about the truth of the completion when the hero returns home, that there's a completedness. The circle or the cycle is complete. They crossed the threshold, leaving home, and they had this complete generation, regeneration, death, rebirth, transformation, atonement, and then back home, completing everything. But for us in photography, that really has a lot to do with, we are outputting a product in photography, which enables the product to be whole, complete, to be finished, to have that, wow, this is a complete whole, and there's no lack in this product either. But at the same time, we need to have a step-by-step procedure, right, that helps us to be able to fashion, form, and complete this product to make it finished. Keep your eyes out. I have some things in mind, and I'm completing a process as we're going through and working out details here and there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I want to salt the oats here a little bit. That's a farming phrase. I want to make y'all hungry, and so I'm teasing you with some details and facts, but I'm not really telling you what I'm talking about either. So I know that's hard, but I want y'all to be excited. I want y'all to keep coming back and looking for more information, because we have a lot more value to add. But if we just dumped it all here for you, then it'd be really hard to suss out the details and what really is value and what's just fluff. So we're slowly bringing bits of information and helpful information, details, tips, tricks to the photography trade, and we want to help you bring about an effective result for each of these steps in the hero's journey, because you are, in fact, a hero. You have your own hero's journey to tell, and the story behind that is a very real one. We would love to hear about your story. Just post a link in the comments below for us to follow, or tell us a little bit of the highlights in the comment below. give us a thumbs up so we know that you're out there and interacting with us. We'd love to interact with our folks and reply to comments. And we love to see your subscriptions as well. If you're not yet a subscriber and you're watching this video, please do subscribe. We would love to add you to our Photos family. Thank you so much. God bless.